or you are born with a lot of what you call luck that will support and give you your benefits. Yes, true. Through the actions of our past, we probably have accumulated a lot of tian cai, a lot of good karmas. But is there a ti cai, or the conditions arising for you to germinate it, for you to harvest it? Because when you sow a seed, that seed needs to have the right soil. That seed needs to have the right conditions. So whether there's opportunity, whether there is a guiren, whether there's a benefactor, whether there is the right timing, it's all the tian cai for that seed to germinate. But there are many people with the right seed and the right condition, unfortunately still cannot achieve it. I give you a simple example. There was this man again who went to see the fortune teller, and the fortune teller says that when you are 40th birthday, the sky is going to open and gold is going to fall down on the sky, all meant for you. And true enough, he waited until his 40th birthday, and he looked at the sky opened, and the gold fell. And it all fell in front of his house. Therefore, he has his gold waiting to fall, and the timing was right. The condition was there, but the condition was that the gold fell in front of his house. He sat at the door and he says, well, if that gold is meant for me, it will come into my house. But the gold is in the public road. And as people walk past, they collect their gold. Since it belongs to one, it's public property, and they move off, and the gold becomes less and less and less. You have the right seed, you have the right condition, but you did not do anything in order to go and collect the gold into your house. So that boils to one question is, what are you doing about it? If you have the right intention, what you call dream, and you intend to move into that direction, ask yourself whether you have done anything about it. And same thing, like you want to score 10 distinction. Are you going to sit and relax and watch television and play your guitar? Or are you going to really put an effort? And that whatever you do today in the effort will definitely bear fruits. And if you have put sufficient effort, that sufficient effort will result in your 10 distinctions. But if you have not contributed anything, just laze around and procrastinate, nothing will happen. So therefore, understanding this concept of what I can do now so that it can achieve my dream is more important than the dream itself. Because dreams, everybody can have. But the ability to do something now is within the limits and the capabilities of.
Many people are suffering from uncertainties, health issues, of jobs, income, loss of relatives and friends. Is there any the suffering ones overcome their sufferings?
Well, there are many sutras as taught by the Buddha that actually enables us to understand the vicissitudes of life, the uncertainties of life. And these are part and parcel of the changes, part and parcel of impermanence. And as a result, when these changes happen and we cannot accept it, that is where we become disappointed. That's where we have dukkha or suffering. Because uncertainties, health issues, loss of jobs and income, loss of relatives and friends, they are all vicissitudes. They are all our gain and loss. They are all our blame and what you call praise. They are all our happiness and unhappiness. So therefore, if we can understand that these changes is inevitable, you have to face it one way or another. And since it has happened and changes have taken form, are we going to succumb to it? Are we going to despair from it? You don't have to, isn't it? you can actually do something about it. And especially during this pandemic time, where people are losing their work, is there alternative? Is there any other avenues that you can work or find a job or do a project that can generate some income? You remember during the last financial crisis in Thailand, there was this man who was a billionaire or having lots of money. And he lost all his fortune within that crisis itself. Does he despair? Does he have any difficulties to live on? Or he says, okay, I will sell sandwiches. And he went on the road and organized himself together with friends and started selling sandwiches. And eventually, he began to recover and he began to slowly inch back into his vocation, his businesses, and he became well and he became successful after that. Same thing like, for example, there is, if you watch on TV lately, there was this program in Channel News Asia about how these young people, when they are faced with a job loss, an air hostess decided to use her talent in the, what you call, washing and repairing of toilets, WCs. And he advertised herself as a specialist in WC, and when you have a difficulty in unplugging your what you call blocked WCs, use her. And true enough, she became very busy because during pandemic, most people are at home, so they have no what you call access to repair people. And since it is advertised on the online, they call her, and eventually she went over to help them to repair. Same thing with this man who was actually a very successful manager. He decided to be a Grab driver, what do you call, delivery. And he delivers and tide him over, because what matters most is during this period of time, this crisis, can they actually do something in order to tide over this crisis? Now, normally a lot of people, they worry beyond the crisis. That means to say, oh, what shall I do after the crisis? Oh, I'm going to be very totally devastated by the crisis, and the aftermath, I'm going to suffer very badly. Don't worry about that, because it's yet to come. You do not know what is going to happen. But what is happening now is you need to put food on the table. You need to pay your bills. And therefore, what is the things that you can do in order to survive? And a lot of businessmen, we always advise them, look, no, now is a cash flow issue. Just keep your nose above water. Don't think of profits. Don't think of your company will not be able to make profits. But how are you going to make enough just to pay your bills? Whatever bills that can become due, and you will be able to overcome. So the sutras basically taught us many things. That there is this challenge or crisis which is inevitable. There is this vicissitudes of life that we have to face. And the only way to face it is to accept it first. And when you're able to accept it, a big part of the problem disappear. And then you then manage the crisis. Accept the crisis and then manage the crisis. And by management means what can you do now? Don't worry about your past. Don't worry about your future. Do something about it now just to keep yourself afloat so that you are ready for the challenge after that. So with that, thank you, Brother Chin.
Yeah. Again, it's just the power of now, Dato'. Thank you for your very good examples of how we can overcome our what you call the sufferings that many people are having during this pandemic. I think we go for the next one. Is there any more question? From GK Tan, Sister GK Tan. Hi, Dato' Charlie. Thank you for your sharing. Working in the corporate world, there are many business activities running now to feed the business for future. This is never-ending activity. How do you recommend for us to cope this better and living in the present?
Well, I am also considered a corporate man, right? And I help to run a property development, a construction. And do we despair over the lack of income, lack of revenue, and eventually having to pay your salaries every month for the staff? And this is actually quite scary for a lot of people. A lot of companies now have actually thought of how to reduce their cost. Number one, reduce their cost is salaries will be cut, but not cut until you cannot survive, but cut until you can still survive, work from home, and eventually contribute towards the preparation, what you can do now in order to prepare when the pandemic ceases. And a lot of product development, a lot of new processes can be thought of, a lot of spring cleaning, a lot of resorting and realignment of your processes, a lot of what you call strategies can be thought of and researched into. Plenty of work. In fact, we are all very busy, right? All those working from home, although some of us cannot meet, but there is Zoom and Zoom and Zoom sessions every day. We are still running a lot of business activity to fit the business for the future, right? But the question is, are we going to despair over what is going to happen? Because we are already in the crisis. The income already not coming in. So how to make use of whatever products that we have in order to get the income? Now, since I'm in the property development, there is actually a lot of companies who couldn't sell because of the wrong products. But if they hit the right products, they are able to sell. Why? Landed property are still selling. A lot of our Malaysians actually have a lot of savings. You are fortunate to know that Malaysians actually are people who save for the raining season. And especially during this period of time, corporates are actually cutting their margins, costs are being cut, products prices are now being cheaper, and opportunities for investments are now becoming more available. And a lot of people are saying that this is the best time to buy. And that is when they moved in. Number two, there is this possibility of a revenge shopping. They call it 报仇, shop 报仇, because why you have not been shopping for 1.5 years. So when the market opens, wow, you're going to buy everything. Well, this is going to happen. And are you preparing for it? Are you getting ready for it? Thirdly, of course, is the online. The social media and online is going to be the new norm. What are we doing about it? Have we been able to sell our products and move our marketing, move our gallery into a virtual mode? And these are examples that there is a never-ending activity, and this is how we should cope. Don't dwell in the difficulties. As long as we can keep our nose above water, our mind should be thinking of what can I do now, what can I change now, what can I prepare now in order that when the times gets better, we are there. And remember, for every night, there will always be a morning. And for every morning, there will always be a night. For every rise, there will be a fall. For every fall, there will be a rise. That could instill positivity in us, because we must never despair when we fall, because there will always be an opportunity to rise, and it's sure to rise. It's a matter of time. Let's ride it out, and we will be what you call overwhelmed or overcome. Thank you, Sister.
Yeah. It's amazing to have you, Dato', because we not only learn the Dharma, we can also learn the corporate wisdom. Okay, we go for the next question from Sister Jit. Thank you for the calming Dharma talk, Dato' Chia. If a person is feeling the suffering of a disease in the now and isn't happy, how does he focus on the present to be happy? Does he try to ignore the pain of the disease all the time? Appreciate your guidance, Datuk.
Well, basically, old age, sickness, and death is inevitable, number one. And that is a very strong lesson we learn. And we have to accept it as part and parcel of the process of nature. It's a law of nature. It's a process of nature. You can't challenge it. You can't fight it. When it comes, it comes. And we will have to face it in a very positive mode. Number two, we are basically comprised of two forms of energy. Under our pancha khandas, we have consciousness, that have actually thoughts, that actually have feelings, and that actually development of thoughts and feelings. And because we are processes of energy within ourselves, it has to be aligned between this earth, water, fire, and wind, because that is what Rupa is about. The one pancha khanda, one of the pancha khandas. So when you have this earth, water, wind, and fire element that balance itself, then you will be at ease. You will not be in dis-ease. So when a disease happens, it is because these elements are not in balance. But the mind has to be strong. And that's why the Buddha in the Dhammapada verse says, when your body is sick, don't allow your mind to be sick. And that rings well in a lot of people. If they can recollect that verse when they are in this state of mind, they actually pacify them a lot and become more at peace with whatever sickness that they have. When I was a young man, 19 years old at that time, I succumbed to a very strange disease where, you know, my body joints starts to become inflamed and become very painful. And I couldn't walk. It's totally incapable of walking. And I was hospitalized. The doctors shake their heads and says they practically do not know what is happening. It could be rheumatic fever. It could be cardiatics, issues. And they say basically all you have to do is just rest in bed. And not only rest in bed, complete rest in bed. CRIB. They hang a sign on my bed head. CRIB, complete rest in bed. So what shall I do? Right? Then the words ring well in my ear. When your body is sick, don't allow your mind to be sick. And by that, I then started to become positive and say, well, since I'm in the hospital and I can't discharge myself, I might as well enjoy the stay in the hospital. Although the pain is in the joints, but my stomach is still okay and my mouth is still okay, so I can eat. So I ordered the best meal and I tell them, whenever you give me kai pei, you must give me 2. Whenever eggs, I must have double. So I enjoyed good meals. I enjoyed my stay. And I enjoyed a lot of fun talking to all the young nurses. So the mind was positive. The mind was at peace. The mind was free from the succumbing to that disease. 1 month later, I was discharged. And the doctor says, basically, you doesn't show any, a deterioration, neither do you show any improvement. And we also don't know what is going to happen. So why not you check yourself out, go at home, rest at home. I rested for another 2 more months, still enjoying. Lots of friends come and visit me. I was treated like a VIP. And then life goes on. The pain slowly disappears. The inflammation disappears. That murmur in the heart, which causes concern, also disappear. That was 19 years old. And now I am 66. Still alive. Right? Still probably healthy to a certain extent. So therefore, my what you call answer to that question is that when we are in these states of disease, don't sink down to a low. Always maintain your peace of mind. And understanding energies itself, when our body is free from that mental stress, because the moment we are, what you call desperate, then we are anxious, the moment we are very, what you call depressed, our energy actually does not promote the flow of your physical and mental energy. So you get stuck all over the place. And remember, if your body is not in alignment due to the stress, then your body will not be able to discharge whatever block, whatever diseases that you have. So allow your mind to be in peace, in happiness, and when that stress dissipates and disappear, then you find that all this inflammation, all this pain, all these blockages that occurs in our chi, in our system, will then also realign itself because there's no more stress to block it. And eventually then it will flow accordingly and the alignment takes place. Then you find that there is a miracle. And miracle happens when the conditions is right. Miracles means the energy will then be aligned with each other when you allow it to happen. So what are you going to do now? You are now going to allow your energy to flow. You are now going to allow your mind to be at peace. And if you can do that, somehow or other, that nature would find its balance and you will then be able to overcome. But a lot of times we say maybe the disease is too advanced. Your mental capacities and abilities are too limited because we have not been practicing. We have not been encouraging ourselves. We have not been able to energize our energy. And therefore, my advice to many of our new friends who have not yet suffered this, practice your meditation. Because this is going to prepare you for that final moments when you really need it to pacify the mind, make the mind at peace, and free the mind from all the past and all the future. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for a good answer, Dato. I think all this, your answer also reminded me of what late Chief Reverend used to say. When the body is sick, it's because of this harmony of all those elements. So when your body is sick, let your mind not be sick too. Yeah, thank you. I think due to time constraint, we have only, if you have one last question. Any more questions? Is there any more questions? Yeah, another question from KCBA. Good day, Dato Charlie. If we are that Tian Chai and he doesn't know if the gold fall from the sky or drop by someone in front of our house, should we instead go and collect it?
Now, brothers and sisters, how many lives have you lived? How much gold have you collected in your previous life, which is actually remaining uncollected because the opportunity has not arisen and the condition is not right? In other words, we have sown a lot of seeds, be it good karmic seeds or be it bad karmic seeds. They follow us life after life, and this is what we call our conditions are not there, or your tian chai, ti chai, or what you call your previous seeds to ripen, or do you depend on your present seeds to ripen? If you have generate a lot of good seeds in this life, of course, we say is what we call the last in, first out. So the generation of your good seeds in the this present would be the one that will become more dominant. They will then take effect upon you and give you benefits that you are due. So which is important? Do you depend on your past seeds or do you depend on your present seeds? So your present action is actually most critical. And what are you doing about it now in order to create that more seeds? We should put in more effort. We should put in more of our time. And we should actually use our wisdom to good speech, because these are the generative, the intention, or the niat that will then accumulate all the good merits and the good karmic seeds that we will be able to enjoy. So karmic seeds does not mean that you must always depend on your past. Your present one will be kept for the future. No. The present one is actually meant for the present. As long as you don't fall down from the sky, it is the present merits that will happen. So you can collect it anytime.
Yeah, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Once again, thank you very much, Dato, for the very interesting, very inspiring, and very educational talk this morning, which gave us a lot of take-home value on how to live a good, happy, and meaningful life by not clinging to the past, not worry about the future, but living in the present. Thank you, Dato. Sadhu. 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 Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. What am I doing now? What can I do now? You want to be depressed? Live in the past. Anxious? Looking at too much to the future. You want to be at peace? Living it now. I find that there's so much information, so much we can learn. Breathing in, I calm my body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. The only moment, the present moment. Wonderful moment. Happiness is now. Future, be peaceful in the present moment. Make use of this life. Be you to yourself and to others. A lot of possibility we can do in this life. Your possibilities are in your hands. Thank you very much for this Dharma sharing, power of now. And also, the advice are simple and practical. Remember to meditate, to have a clearer mind. Thank you very much, Dr. Chalicha. And I hope that brothers and sisters, please help me to thank the speaker. This morning, you have all participated to this very inspirational Dharma sharing, and we have interesting questions and answers during the Q&A session. With the merits accrued, let us share and dedicate our merits to all our living and departed relatives, families and friends, and all beings. We would like to share merits with our Kayanamitas who have fallen ill. May they have a speedy recovery. To the frontliners, for example, the doctors and nurses at the hospitals. To those who are in treatment at the hospitals, may they be free from harm and danger. Sharing merits. Imang no punya bagang mata pitunancha acharya nancha sabha satanancha sabha mitanancha Sabbanyatinancha, Sabbapetanancha, Sabbadevatanancha, Bhajema. Imang no punya bagang sabasatanang dema sabe sata sukita hontu. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nya kayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nya kayo. Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nya kayo. Imina punyang kamena mame balas samagamos satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patiya idang me punyang asawakayavahang hotu idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sanghang pujemi. To all devotees, thank you very much for participating, giving us likes and love responses, and various other responses in the comment box. Thank you. Please continue to help me to thank the speaker, Dato Chalicha. We have come to an end to this 54th online Sunday Buddha Puja service. We will continue with the Sunday Buddha Puja service on Sunday, 8 August, which is next week. We encourage you to share your links with your family members. Please refer to SGBS Facebook or your society's Facebook for the poster. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, please continue to stay safe, stay home. May you and family be safe, well, happy, and peaceful always. Suki Hontu, goodbye. Sabe Sata Sukita Hontu.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayudantang ngirimi kelang udita Sasene marang dana adhidhamma vidina jitwa